yourself and talk a little bit about Wildfire?
Sure. So I'm Victoria Ransom. I'm the founder and CEO of Wildfire. And Wildfire is a self-service platform for businesses of all sizes to very easily create their own engaging social media marketing campaigns like contests, quizzes, coupons, giveaways, gifts, group deals. So all kinds of campaigns that are going to be really engaging to consumers and that are social, are inherently social. Companies can create them using our technology, and then with a click of a button they can publish them on their Facebook fan page, on their website, which will automatically integrate with Facebook Connect. We also integrate with Twitter. So really, without Wildfire, companies would have to go out and hire a developer and custom build these kind of solutions. Our concept was, let's make it really easy, and let's also, from running many campaigns, and we've run over 40,000 by now, let's learn what really works and build that back into our technology so that companies can benefit from our knowledge. And we launched our technology publicly a year ago, actually, I think a year ago on August 1st, and it's growing very well. We have worked with hundreds of very large brands, and then we work right down with small companies, mom and pop shops. So it's been a very exciting year.
So you told me a couple of days ago that your first company was Adventure Travel, right?
It was, yeah.
So now, how do you go
from it to there?
Well, no, first tell me, what got you, how did you decide to start a company around adventure travel, and then how did you go from A to B?
Yeah, so the honest truth is, you hear a lot of entrepreneurs that will say, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I had a lemonade stand when I was 11. I didn't know that, and I just fell into it. So that's the honest truth. So my first job out of college was at Morgan Stanley in investment banking, and I really respect Morgan Stanley. I love the company, but it was not the job for me. So I did my 2 years of that and then said there's got to be more to life than this. And I really want to be excited about what I do. For me personally, other people really loved it. But I decided to take a year off. Well, not a year off, but I decided to go off and start an adventure sports trip in New Zealand, which is where I'm from. So a snowboard and ski trip. I started it with a partner, and it was really meant to be, let's do this for a year, it'll be fun while I figure out what I want to do with my life, and then I'll go back to graduate school. And it just took off. We ran the first trip, it was highly successful. People said, why don't you start another trip, Before I knew it, we created a global adventure travel company, and we're in 18 different countries. This ties into technology because the company got big enough that we were starting to lose control of the processes, trying to use Excel and all sorts of means to keep track of clients. So we realized we needed technology. We looked around on the market, couldn't find anything that worked for us, decided to custom build something, made a lot of mistakes along the way, but loved the process of building software and realized that you don't have to be a programmer to build software. You need programmers to build it for you, but to create software, you've just got to understand a business problem very well and put it into a simple process that people can understand. So that got me interested in software and was actually working while in business school on creating software for the travel industry that other companies could use, similar to what we built for Access Trips. When along came Facebook, opened up their business pages. I was very inspired by that, by the opportunities that we create for businesses, and actually was inspired by, well, this would be great for Access Trips, but how would Access Trips attract people to their fan page? And so really thinking through the need for Access Trips, we came up with the idea for Wildfire. And again, it took on a life of its own when other companies really latched onto it and got excited about it. So it all flows together.
I guess you sleep?
Not much.
Okay, I think might be a common thread. So maybe some of you could comment on, early on in your lives, maybe I'll start with you, Donna, did you have somebody you admired or a mentor or somebody who was saying, Donna, you can do this on your own, or pushing you? How did that work for you?
Definitely mentored by my grandfather, my father and mother, in the direction of you can do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So my first job was selling Avon cosmetics door to door. I didn't think of it as being entrepreneurial at the time, but when you're a teenager, which I was at the time, it's about the only legal job you can get where you're your own boss. But my role models were my father and grandfather, as I said, who worked within corporations. They were managers within large organizations. And at that time, and in Southern California, the whole culture of the startup and the entrepreneur and the founder was not as strong. I think that it took me sort of a roundabout route to organizations and hiring and firing and managing teams of people. And so
Wow.
I would say that was inspiration.
Lisa, similar dinner conversation at your house growing up, or who or how did you get inspired to go out on your own, and who were some of your early mentors and current mentors as well?
Absolutely similar. I mean, having grown up in Missoula, Montana, there was no mall in my town. Avon and Mary Kay were everything, right? I mean, as a teenage girl, that was, where you started. But I think that key mentorship in the startup space from two people I want to mention, or two groups I want to mention. The first thing is that the community was so valuable. Because in 2005, people thought we were crazy to consider to build a brand new publishing model around women who blog. Many of us in this room know that women control 83% of household spending in the United States, if not more, and that includes automotive and electronics. The women in our community, some of whom were in this room, Lisa Williams, who is there, who started H2O Town and Blogger, in Watertown, a huge local blog. Shereen Mitchell from Digital Assistant, people who were writing things that could not be found in newspapers, who were being really taken very seriously by their users. They encouraged us to go out and try to become as big as we could so that we could support their work. It's almost, one blogger said to me, it's almost like you're the Facebook of this community. So many people are now using BlogHer as a jumping off point for their businesses and their publishing enterprises. We have proprietary server-side software that serves ads. We don't have a publishing system like Facebook does, but I do think the analogy holds. The other best advice I got, and just for any of you who are thinking of fundraising, was shared with me and Lisa by Katarina Fake, who co-founded Flickr. She said you want to go with people, then terms, then valuation. You do valuation first, the terms will be unreasonable, and you'll do a deal with the devil. So it was great advice.
That is great advice. Monique, any early mentors to you or current mentors in terms of people who have inspired you to be CEO and entrepreneur?
I think in Silicon Valley now there's definitely a lot of, there's a big network of women and male executives that are mentoring younger folks like us, I guess. And so for me there were folks like actually like Susan Mason, that I had that is on your board, I believe, right? That I had seen just she's with Onset Ventures, and I had gone to one of her talks like about 10 years ago about venture capital, and thought, oh wow, I would really like to have my own company one day. And it just happened summertime, but there's folks like now, like Whitman, and a lot of other, Ellen Hancock was also one of the sort of my early influences. So not one specific person, but several people that over time here in the lab
I wasn't here yesterday, but I happened to see get the notes from the panel discussion yesterday that Guy Kawasaki headed up around the changing venture capital community and getting money and things like that. So I'm wondering, maybe Carol, you could comment, what's it like to get money right now, and how have you changed your approach as an entrepreneur and CEO?
So can I just, I want to answer that question, but I just also want to talk about people that inspired me.
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's a different answer than when I started, I was actually discouraged, and that inspired me, because people discouraged me, but that was a long time ago. That's when my first CEO job was in 1990. But it was a time where people said, girls can't be CEOs, that kind of stuff, you can't raise money. And that was my first level of encouragement, was the discouragement. The second was when I went out, was my first time I did the CEO of Venture. I got a lot of encouragement. I asked for help. I got a ton of support from CEOs in Silicon Valley. And if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, reach out to your friends who've done it before, and I got a lot of support. And then most recently, I was inspired, because I was retired, but I was really inspired by Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who had gone against a lot of adversity to create a new model for credit around the world. He was my inspiration. So I had to say that it's very different